Well, after that result at Old Trafford, it meant only one thing. My dear friends, Manchester City are champions of the Premier League once more. Come on, City!
Come on! Yeah, baby!
And here to celebrate our new crown is, of course, the legends that are Andy Morrison and Sean Gota. And I think, shall we do the reveal, gents? Have we got a little, what this?
Yeah.
Oh, what this? It's only Championes, a T-shirt that says it all. Manchester City champions. I mean, Sean, where do we begin? Do we begin with the sing-song? I don't know.
Wow. It's Friday, Sunday, what? Champions again! It's Friday, Sunday, what? It's champions again! It's Friday, Sunday, what? It's champions again!
I mean, Andy, a lot more reserved, but I mean, what a moment this is for the club, isn't it?
Incredibly proud, yeah. Me and Sean here chuffed to bits ourselves, and it's like you've just said, it's 3 titles in 4 years. It's been an incredible season. League Cup, now the title, and a Champions League final to come. So it's incredible, and you just have to pinch yourself sometimes where the club are at, and just creating history year on year. It's been incredible, and it's it's been done tonight, but it's been a long season, and the players and the football club have to take great credit.
They really, really do, and I'm sure as us here in the stadium, you've probably got a smile as big as myself and Sean's. And we just want to remind everyone, because I'm sure there'll be lots of celebrations, a lot of happiness and cheering going on. But if we just can remember, we all, of course, have to be following the COVID-19 protocols that are in place. You might be thinking about coming to celebrate at the Etihad Stadium, but of course, I think it'll be safer for us all if we stay at home and enjoy where we can in the right place. I mean, Sean, it's been an up and down week. We kind of could have done it at the weekend. We didn't. United made us wait, of course. But now the moment has arrived. Just how special is this Premier League crown that we've won?
Wow. I mean, absolutely amazing. And the reason why it's amazing, I mean, winning it any time is amazing, but the season that the team has had to go through, playing games every 3 days, 4 days, that is just unreal. I mean, Andy and I haven't been out there and played, and how difficult it is sometimes when you have a month of, 2 games, playing on a Saturday, playing on a Tuesday or something like that. These guys are having games 3 days, 4 days, just consistent game after game. And we know the level that the Premier League is. Absolutely phenomenal. So hats off to Pep Guardiola, his coaching staff, everyone involved. That's even the tea ladies, because everyone plays a part. But I think it's been absolutely tremendous for them to actually win it this season amongst all seasons. Again, game after game after game. I remember a few months ago, Pep Guardiola was saying to the players, don't look at the schedule. I was looking at it and I was thinking, there are some big games coming up, and the team had just grinded through them, got the result. Been absolutely phenomenal.
On the show, where we're going to be looking through the season, doing some player focuses, of course, talking about the highs and the lows of the season. But picking up on something you said there, Sean, we has that been, you say, one of the key factors why City have had the season they've had? Not just winning the Premier League, but we had the Carabao Cup as well, of course, Champions League, because of that mentality and going, we're only going to go game by game.
I think so. I think the manager, has always echoed that after every game, that we move on to the next one. And the word that comes to mind is relentless. The football club is absolutely relentless. The modern day footballer is so fit in the sports science, but to mentally prepare yourself for every game and then go and play in Europe and then come back and play in an FA Cup game and then a League Cup game and then a big massive Premier League game, to do that week and week and week, it's an incredible achievement.
Yeah.
And again, we're still going strong. The title's won, but there's still so much to achieve this season. And again, the word relentless I think that just echoes around this football club.
I think it really does.
It just makes me think in terms, I just talk about League Cup, FA games, just all the Champions League, playing all these games. It just shows you that where the club are, it's a squad. It's a squad that do this. For years we've looked at teams that's going and won the Premier League, and we've thought, they've had a decent 11, maybe 12 or 13 players. But this has been a squad because every player has played so many games. It's been important in terms of the league. Absolutely phenomenal. I can't express how difficult it must be for these guys in this sort of season, because it's just hard to put into words, really, the challenges they would have had to overcome physically, and also mentally. Absolutely brilliant.
And I think you said it there, Sean, as well. I think there's always been a big push from the club, that it is, what we see on the pitch is actually the product of everybody's hard work, as you say, the training staff, but to everybody behind the scenes. I think this is really a product of that. And as we say, the season's not quite finished yet. I mean, if we reflect on the last 2 weeks, I guess the first place we want to start, Andy, is, of course, the League Cup win. We had the trophy lift, of course. That, I guess, started us off and put us in the right space to really kick on in this back half of the season, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think it's testament to the manager. I really do. That there's no nights off. There's no, we'll focus on that next game because the League Cup game's not as important, whether it's a quarter-final or a semi-final. Every single game he goes in to win. And I think that rubs off on the team. I think it rubs off on the squad. And I think they look at him, and when he turns up on whether it's a Wednesday, Tuesday, Saturday, Sunday, and they see his eyes before the game and they look at him, and they know it's game on again. Yeah. Here we go again, because he's not letting up. And I think that, again, he takes great credit. Everybody takes credit. But yes, the League Cup was a start. Now that says, let's just kick on again now and go again.
Well,
I thought you were just going to go for it. Friday, Saturday, what? Champions again.
But you kind of said it there, Andy. When we know we don't want to say, but I guess the next point, then, of course, we had those two unbelievable semi-final fixtures, of course, while also doing what we needed to do in the league. But the Champions League final, Sean, that's still to come. But to do what we've done so far in the competition, again, history for the club.
Yes, history for the club, playing against, world-class players, quality teams, brilliant managers, and still being able to get through that, mentally. Some of the old school fans that have this mentality, City, doubt. But I'll tell you what, we say in Pep we trust, we really trust, because this man figures out a way, he finds a way, and he delivers. I just think it's absolutely brilliant. I can't express how excited I am. I really can't.
I'm with you. I mean, for Pep as well, that's 3 titles now in his tenure here at Manchester City, of course, as well. Throughout the season, we got that magical extension, which felt like actually another trophy in itself. But we can now bring you some live footage. I think we're about to unveil a banner here at the Etihad Stadium, and quite poignant, really, gentlemen, because there's a name probably that you're going to see that, of course, rings true and is echoes in all the minds of Manchester City fans. One of the biggest and greatest legends, Mr. Colin Bell, who unfortunately we lost this year. So I think it's quite poignant that, of course, this is also a trophy that we can dedicate to Mr. Bell for all he did for the club, and of course his family as well. I think we should be able to go to that now. I mean, gents, it does feel quite fitting, doesn't it, over the living legend and of the year that we've had, Colin Bell, to have that there. It's quite special, isn't it?
Yes, for me, it's absolutely brilliant that the club don't miss a thing. They absolutely recognise that, Colin Bell, what a legend he was, what a humble guy he was, and to sort of dedicate this winning the league to him and his family is absolutely brilliant. I can't speak highly enough for the club. They do not miss a thing. And again, yes, we sadly missed him. He's passed away this year, but absolutely brilliant to dedicate winning the league to the Bell family.
I mean, there was a couple of words you used there, and actually, there are many, I think, adjectives that fans will think of when they think of Colin Bell. But in a way, the team feels a bit of almost a representation of exactly what Colin Bell was about. Relentless, hard-working, didn't stop, seemed to be able to do everything and anything when the tide was up against him, fought on through. Qualities of this Manchester City team.
It's, I'm fortunate enough over the last few years to have spent match days with Colin, and, when he walked into a room, there was, people would start nudging each other, and it didn't matter what age it was. And we're just looking across there at We Are One Team, Colin Bell, the King. And we spoke about it earlier on today, and there'll be one proud man tonight, and a big smile on his face looking down, because his football club is, is a representation of who he was, an incredible man and very, very humble man. And he'll be smiling tonight, that's for sure.
Really will. If you've just tuned in, welcome along to a We're Not Really Here special. What special, I hear you ask? Premier League Champions special, I'll have you know, my friends. And we're going to dig back into the season now and reflect, because if we go back to the start of the season, coming into it, I remember we spoke a lot about there was no pre-season. Of course, it was under the conditions that we found, ourselves in for the last year and a half. The start was slow, to say the least, wasn't it, Sean?
Yeah, we didn't really find a rhythm, and perhaps, a lot of clubs would have probably found, well, because we had no pre-season, but Pep never finds an excuse. He never in games goes on about referee calls, or VAR. He just gets on with it. So as a manager, again, he's just brilliant in how he goes about business.
Yeah,
it really is.
I mean, we're seeing here is the team that actually did the business for us. But Andy, we were speaking just before the show, and actually this was a kind of a low moment, I guess, for everyone, because I think at this point, well, there's famous quotes from pundits saying we're not in with a chance. But the 5-2 loss was massive, wasn't it?
It was. It was a huge moment in the season for me, and it was a game that changed, the course of the season, because, like I say, a lot of people wrote the club off. We were conceding goals, and I think the following game, we got back to basics, got a 0-0 away at United, and we're very solid. I think it coincides, I'm not sure, with Diaz coming in, who's been, well, I don't think there's anything I can say that nobody else has already said about the man. Yeah. He's been incredible, and it's kicked on from then. And at that point, that was a really low point. I watched that game with my son, and when he follows City night and day, and it was like, Dad, we're struggling.
Yeah,
we really are struggling. We look flat. There's a lack of energy. Teams are coming to our place. Yes, the fans weren't there. They play a huge part. The energy of the fans, the expectations, and the pressure they put on players, even at the highest level. Yeah, they get another 10%, and it was really flat that night. And it was, where do we go from here? But the manager's gone away and galvanised the squad, whether they come together and had a chat, because whatever's happened since then, it's been remarkable. We broke records again.
What do you think it was at that point, when to see, as you say, it kind of felt a bit reminiscent of actually when I don't know if anyone remember Pep's first season in charge, when Leicester, I think, trumped us at their place. It felt a little bit similar to that. Why wasn't it accumulation of things, Andy, for you, or anything specific you go, was that?
I just think it was a hangover, without the pre-season, the normal pattern of things. A few players left the club, and it was hard to get going again. Yeah. But again, Diaz, what part he played in bringing everyone together, and just that solidity at the back and being solid, and a foundation. And we built from clean sheets and built on again. If you remember around that period, the amount of clean sheets we had was incredible. And then you only need to score one if you got a clean sheet, and that was very solid in the way we went about things. And it's just got stronger and stronger from then.
Well, we was just having a little look actually when I was prepping beforehand, and I think after the Leicester game, Ruben Diaz arrived. I think 2 days afterwards. He arrived just at the back end of September, and obviously remember, of course, our Argentinian general Otamendi went the other way to Benfica. He came in, and as you said, I think that you maybe want to attribute with a Pep side was the clean sheets, but we started grinding out results, something I don't think we'd seen at all in Pep Guardiola's term as a Manchester City manager.
Yeah, I think previous season Pep looked at things and thought, well, where can they improve? But as you say, he came in and he just had a leadership. For someone that's so young, you would normally sort of associate that with somebody that's more experienced. But again, because he's played for Portugal and all the rest, he is an experienced player. But he came in and had just a leadership about him. And I remember watching his interview, he says, you'll see that I'm a winner, I'm a leader, and you'll see through my performance. And he didn't give you no bells and whistles. He just gave it to you straight. Yeah. And when I think back to that and I see how he plays, he's exactly that. I love the fact when I watch him now. And you start to see, I start to see other clubs doing it now. They win a block tackle, they're high-fiving. And that, teams weren't doing that. Yeah. That's because they're seeing Diaz do it. They're seeing, Stones and Laporte, the City defense. But he brought that, winning a tackle, which is like making a brilliant block, stopping a goal. He's high-fiving. And I'm sort of gassed about it. I'm thinking, and this is what he brings. And this guy was like that. You wanted to do that, but Diaz has brought that to this club. And again, Stones I think Stones is needed that type of play alongside him because he has that composure on the ball, etc. And Stones just took a deep breath and now we're seeing the quality of what Stones. Laporte has always been a good player for me. Yeah. So Laporte never went anywhere. And so you got 3 center halves, goalkeepers. I could go through the whole team. I mean, Again, I go back to the thing. We have a squad. it's a squad. It was a squad performance in terms of being able to win the Premier League as well.
I'll tell you what he brings as well. I'll just quickly come in on that.
No, of course.
He, listen, to be a centre-half in a Pep Guardiola team, you've got to be able to play. You've got to have pace because you're going to be left exposed.
Yeah.
But what he brought to the table is, don't lose sight of the importance of stopping the ball going in your net, putting your body on the line, and galvanising the squad with a mentality of, listen, we're judged, yes, on winning games, but individually, we're defenders. Let's stop balls going into that net. And he has that about him. Yes, he can play. Yes, he can defend. Yes, he looks elegant at times. But first and foremost, he's an outstanding defender and gives us something different to Stones and Laporte. Definitely. He's got an incredible heart.
I mean, we're kind of looking at some of his best bits here. I mean, I don't think any of us could have, predicted the impact that he's had on the team, on the club, and the players around him. Sean, you were saying, it's kind of, again, you would see similar qualities in the way Andy captained the team. For the players around him, though, and for you guys, who have someone to turn to or have that energy, does it bring out the best in you?
It does, because not everyone's built that way. Not everyone is built that way. So if you got someone that's a little bit more laid back, and your captain or one of your leaders is giving you, come on, today it means everything.
Yeah.
And it just does enough for you to go, yes. Yeah, I already know, but it's like, and you get a little bit more pumped up, and I know that's the case with certain players. I mean, we're talking world-class players throughout this team, but these players who when he comes across and he's high-fiving before the start of a game, they're thinking, I'm not letting him down. I'm not letting him down.
Yeah, and I mean, Andy, you can tell me what are the qualities, because I watch him, right, and he's got the blocking, his reading of the game. He seems to always be in the right space. He'll put his head in Is it just his all-round?
Yeah,
do you think?
Callie wants to defend. He wants to defend. It's his identity from a young age.
Yeah.
He wants to go to war with a striker. He wants to have a battle with him. He wants to outfight him. And when you're talking about your leaders, your Ferrandinos, Vinny, and this lad Diaz, when look at that, I want to play for him. I want to play alongside him. And these players, footballers follow courage. They don't follow titles. They follow, because he's the captain or he's the manager. They follow courage. Yeah. Our manager has got incredible courage and wants to lead from the front. Diaz, Ferrandino, they're players that everyone else will look to on a match day. And if they're up for it, if they're at it, then you just bounce off that. And listen, let's hope he's up with us for the next 15 years.
I know.
I got one point too, and this, believe me, this is a compliment. With most defenders, defenders are always great defenders. Stay on their feet. He is a player that goes to ground, and I would say 99% of the time wins the ball. And every coach across the land will say to defenders, stay on your feet, stay on your feet. And like I said, this is a compliment because he goes to ground, but he wins the ball 99% of the time. And that is just unbelievable. And it just shows you that his reading of being in the right place, to be able to go to ground and win that ball.
Yeah.
Because we've all seen it in the past with different players that go to ground, but he's phenomenal going to ground and winning the ball.
Well, and genuinely, I don't think I've ever seen someone block the ball like he does. And I is that just his mind, or is it because he's reading the game so well? What is it?
I think it's his mindset. I just think it's the mentality of the man. Thou shalt not pass. You will not get past me. It's as simple as that. He's a colossus, absolute colossus for us. And since he's come in again, I think everybody else has bounced off him. I think Stones has become better. Laporte, I think the back four, I think the defensive side of things, protecting the goalkeeper, I think it's brought so much, and I think everyone has picked their game up and raised their game, and we've gone to another level. Yeah. We really have.
We really will talk about going to another level, because you said it there, I think after we had the little change up after the Leicester and that Tottenham defeat as well, Diaz has come in. We built solid at the back. We started grinding out those 1-0s and 2-0s, and then come to the back end of December. Could anyone have predicted the winning streak that we went on, Andy, from that point?
I think, again, one game at a time. You look at a combination of games that are coming and you think, we can't win 10, but we can win 1. And as long as we get that one, then there's 9 left, and let's go and win the next one. And it builds from then. Then you start seeing, some records being built. Like, and they were heading into an incredible situation at one time where it could have been the world record. They could have gone and beat what was standing at that time.
Yeah.
But, yes, it literally grows one game, and the momentum and the energy and the strength just keeps going. And, like I say, you wake up in the morning after you've run for 95 minutes and you've won, and you're on those kind of runs. Your legs aren't sore.
Yeah.
You want to go again Tuesday night. If you're losing, then you become very tired, and they've not the energy. They've created the energy themselves, and they've all built on it, and they lived off it, and you can see the togetherness, and that comes from, again, winning games of football.
I mean, this felt like a real moment, didn't it? I remember, if you recall, when we won the title a couple of years ago, there was a Chelsea win at Stamford Bridge, Kevin De Bruyne 1-0, beating the champions Liverpool in this fashion.
In the manner, we did.
That felt like a real kind of turning point as well, didn't it, Sean?
It did, and for me, that was a game where I was, that was showing. It just showed Phil Foden scoring that goal. I mean, you're talking about a quality defender and how he just moved that ball so quickly, and ended up being the 4th goal, I believe. But a brilliant strike, brilliant play by him, and I just went, this guy's come of age. This guy's now playing as though he's 28. Big games. Sorry, I got to interrupt. This one here, good one. Yeah. He said, just lie down. Mr. Whippy's just gone and done it right there. It was absolutely brilliant.
When you've had a season like we've had, you need players to step up throughout the season. And De Bruyne was magnificent. Then Gundogan went through a period where he was unplayable. Then Bernardo Silva came in. Then Mahrez. I think since Christmas, Mahrez has been the best player in world football. He has been incredible since Christmas. Before that, there was, of course, good games, but he's been so consistent. And now he looks like, you look at the sheet, and it's the first name you want to see because the goals he scored and the performances, and so relaxed and laid back in what he does. But when it comes to, like I spoke many times, them one-on-one situations in the final moments, there's nobody better than him. And players have stepped up. De Bruyne picked up an injury. Bernardo Silva came in and was just incredible, and he's been like that since. Gundogan had a period of 8 to 10 weeks where he couldn't stop scoring goals. Yeah. Everybody's played their part, and that's where the success comes from.
Right, even down to Torres as well. If you think, I know this was a little bit earlier on, but when we needed the goals, it was Torres that was popping up with the goals.
Absolutely right. I mean, Torres came in, and I was observing him because Pep was playing him up the middle, and I'm always giving that IQ from a striker's point of view, thinking, okay, let's have a look at his runs. I was so impressed with this guy's runs, the timing of his runs, and also his finishing. I actually had said, at one point, this guy's going to be really close to challenging guys for top goal scorer, because the form I saw him in at that time, the runs he was making, scoring goals, I was just like, I'm really impressed with this guy. Yeah. And again, I think he's still sort of one of those players that's betting in. Again, there's been more coming from him, but so impressed with him. Really impressed. But I wanted to pick up a little bit about Mahrez. I got a message from Mahrez. Listen, they used to call me touch gooder because my touch was neat. I want you to show me, right, how you control that ball like that, because it's ridiculous.
It's outrageous. Outrageous. That, for me, genuinely, I think it's no hyperbole when you say best first touch in Europe at the moment. I think it's
world. This guy touch is crazy.
No, he is. He's been magnificent. And listen, when do we start talking about Cancelo? Coming from a fullback into a screening midfielder, and again reinventing the game.
Then becoming a 10.
And then when the play breaks down, dropping in or screening the ball from the front.
Yeah.
And the period of the season that he's had, incredible how he stepped up this season. And again, it just fills you with, that players like Torres, they're going to kick on again.
Well, I guess actually maybe that's something in when that winning streak which we're talking about. Actually, I think we'd found a couple times in the last few seasons with Pep, we didn't have that plan C or plan D. We had a plan A, we tried the plan B, and sometimes it was just 2 banks of 5. You literally couldn't do it. Whereas we seem to have evolved, and like you say, through maybe a fullback playing centre mid, or maybe moving to the false 9, we've actually improved our game tenfold in a variety of areas. Is that, do you think, why as well we were able to win so many games? Because we'd found different ways to do it.
Listen, over a period of time, the same patterns, City doing things season on season, game after game after game. Managers are watching that, and they're finding ways of suffocating what City are good at.
Yes.
He needs to find another solution, and he's thinking all the time, in game and away from it. The problems that Dortmund caused us in the first game, the solution was in the second game.
Yeah.
You know, it changed things around again, just different dynamics to the way we played. And again, you know, I can't speak highly enough of him.
Speaking of solutions, you know, what I don't forget is Cancelo is one of these players that also plays 10. So his position is fullback. But I've seen him play left fullback and end up in the number 10 position, giving through balls and thinking, this is just quality. I've seen him put that ball on his right foot and put it in the top corner. And I'm thinking, wow.
How did the opposition prepare for that, Sean?
But exactly.
How did they prepare for Cancelo turning
yeah.
up in a pocket? We've got everything boxed off. We know Mahrez movements. We know Sterling's movements. We know what Gundogan's going to pick up.
Yeah, exactly.
But did we think about Cancelo picking up in these little pockets? So again, and I think it'll carry on like that. I think he will continually.
Is amazing.
Do you think as well? I mean, I think we have to also maybe give credit to Cheeky, of course, who has actually helped build the squad and actually has sourced the players who have not just the mentality but also the technical ability. Because I do look around this squad of players now, and technically, every single one is so gifted. You know, that almost makes them unplayable, I think, Sean.
Yes, without doubt. I mean, when they're player profiling, I mean, you know, there's you normally heard things looking for speed, look for technique, personality, you know, intelligence. These players have all this. They have all this. So when they stand up when they play and they're on the field, they've got their own personality and they shine. You know, they've got certain attributes they look for. He needs to be dynamic. He needs to be quick. Obviously, he's good technically. He has to also have an eye for goal. As a forward player, as a defender. You know, when I look at our centre backs and it's Diaz, I also think of the Barcelona centre backs. There was PK, was neat on the ball, used to come, he could drive forward, comfortable on the ball, and then there was Puyol, aggressive, win everything, a monster, and that's what I see.
Yeah.
So there are little patterns, but again, Cheeky, Varane, these guys.
The team behind the team, Sean, as you spoke about earlier on, Cal, the whole everybody will be incredibly proud tonight. There'll be the odd bottle of champagne let off tonight, and they'll celebrate. There'll be phone calls made because of that. Like I say, that team behind the team that we don't see, the people who work so hard. But that'll be closed off tomorrow morning, and we'll go again. You know, it'll be Newcastle Friday, and we'll build again. But tonight, you know, there's a lot of people at this football club should be incredibly proud.
Final word on the winning streak, which of course let's not forget as well, that was us breaking records once again. I mean, that just seems to be what Pep does, turns up, we'll break records. But I remember there was a point where I genuinely felt that no team was going to be able to beat us. We would just seem to be in that groove for the opponents and for the opposition. And I'm talking maybe, you know, as we go into the Champions League final, but also for next season and the season after that. That must do something as far as, you know, each time you come up against City now, you remember that if they turn up, there's not much we can do. I think, and I guess for us now to think, how do we sustain this and keep this going? That's a big part in it, that you have that in your opponent's minds, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Pep's relentless, and he does. You know, he goes into games and he's like, I may have beaten you the last 4 times, I may have only beaten you the last time, but I want to beat you again.
Yeah.
And he finds different ways to get these wins, and this is what's so amazing. But again, as an opponent, it puts them on the back foot. It puts them on the back foot to go, I'm a team that wants to play expensive football. We're playing City. Whoa. We've got a different tactics. We need to have a mid block, or we have a real deep defensive block, and we play counter attack because it's City. And that's because, we came up against them. They put 5 in us. Came up against them another time, and we played this way, and they put 3 in us. And this has to be on the opposition, you know, the manager's minds. How do we play against City? How do we, you know, try to get some sort of change of playing against City? And I love it because, again, Pep just finds ways to break teams down. And, you know, when you see a team and just we normally say 2 banks of 4. They got 2 banks of 5. 2 banks of 5. And Pep's team is patient, moving the ball, moving it, shifting, and you know, love it because everybody now talks about spaces and pockets. You know, never really talk when we were playing. The only time we talked about space was get it behind the team. But Pep's about getting it into pocket, into spaces, and if it's behind teams, it's still getting it to a player's feet. Absolutely beautiful, amazing, and can't wait to see more of it. I mean, you know, where does he go? I think every year that I've seen and watched City, Pep has found a different way. The first year, essentially, first year or two, it was fullbacks coming and playing alongside the defensive midfielder. And it was like, wow. And I was like, okay, I love this. I'm learning, you know. Then you start seeing, okay, sometimes the fullback isn't going inside. He's going high. I'm seeing now, like I said, Cancelo is becoming a 10, and you think, hold on. He's having as much shots as a number 10, or he's giving 2 or 3 through balls as De Bruyne or Bernardo Silva or whoever it may be. And I'm just thinking, wow, he always seems to find something unique, something different. That just wows me. And again, Cancelo playing on the left side as a left back, when he is up and around the box, he actually is coming onto his stronger foot. And how do you're playing for De Bruyne, you're playing for Sterling, you're playing for Foden, you're playing for Mahrez, all these, and then all of a sudden you get the fullback that comes up and does this, and you just go,
I'm done.
I'm done.
I'm done. There was a player you mentioned there, and I think actually the timing of it works quite well because it was kind of in the middle of the winning streak and the back end of the winning streak, which of course had to come to an end. But it seemed to be the coming of age season for our very own, Stockport Iniesta, born and bred Phil Foden. I mean, we can talk about him for the next 20 minutes, but what a season he's had. And actually, when De Bruyne was injured, and guess what? When you have injuries to big players, you can still win the Premier League, by the way. Phil seemed to come in and go, this is my moment to shine.
I think it's been like that from day one. I think he was born to play football at the highest level. It excites us as fans, as ex-players, to watch him and think where he could actually go in the game. And it's just the way he takes everything in his stride. There's no overinflated opinion of himself. There's no ego there. That comes down to the manager managing him, obviously well. This is the way he carries himself, and it's, if you didn't know his age and his background, you would say that's somebody that's 23, 24, 25, who's turning these performances in, week out, and is sort of said to the manager, you can't drop me. I have to stay in this team. And, when Sterling's had to be patient, he's played so well. So, again, a reflection of who he is. And listen, I don't think there's any superlatives I can come out with that hasn't already been said about the boy.
Yeah.
He's incredible, and he's only going to get better.
Surprised, though, to you both. Are you surprised of just how good he is at his age? I mean, there's always been talk around the club, hasn't there, about Phil Foden from, I think, since we signed him when he was 7. But surprised that everyone was saying Pep giving his chance, but he's still only 2021. Surprised he's this good and his mind is at that level.
I think when you've got a special talent, and I think when a 17-year-old is ripping up the Under-19 World Cup and he's the standout player and he gets player of the tournament, there's something special.
Yes. And,
the hunger, the desire, being managed by the right people, there's no reason why he shouldn't be doing what he's doing. And he, like I say, I can only see him improving, getting stronger physically, and kicking on to the next level. Look at him.
Sean. I mean, well, for you and Phil as well.
Yes.
Well, thoughts?
Well, listen, Phil, I spent a whole year when Phil was around 13, 14 at the club, and to watch him, he was the smallest there, and I'm watching him in training, and sometimes he's getting kicked, and they're just saying, you're going to have to be able to take that, because if you're going to be a quality player, you're going to have to cope with those type of tackles. And now when I see him, he gets booted left, right, and center, and he isn't rolling over pretending he's kicked. When he gets kicked, he's properly kicked. And the other thing that excites me is he puts the skill, the excitement of the game, the entertaining. He's doing a bit of skill. He's doing a bit of a dribble, and he gets bums off seats, and you just go, you go, what's coming next? What's coming next? Controlling the ball, dribbling, darting in other players. Absolute brilliant player. Well done to him.
There was a little image there, and I think we all have, don't we? Those little moments where you go, oh, that's one of my favourite moments of the season. He has pulling Zinchenko across the floor being one of them. But the way that he celebrated that goal with Pep in the Champions League felt special. And I think it's, again, let's talk about the genius of Pep Guardiola. We saw and heard the talk over the last 2-3 seasons. Should he go out on loan? Is City the place for him to be? Can Pep really bring in another young player? But you have to look at this season and go, once again, Pep has played it absolutely right.
Yeah, and I think, I think everyone that has any idea of the game would know that under his tutorship, it would be the best. You think of the players that he's worked with at Barcelona, Bayern Munich. He knows young players when they're coming through. He knows how to deal with them. He knows when to put them in, when to take them out. He knows when they need a breather. He knows when they'll be getting ahead of themselves and they need to slow down. All that knowledge, and where else would he want to be but at Manchester City with our manager to look after him?
Sorry, Sean.
Talking about managing, the one thing that I know, because I've had the privilege of being in the dressing room, is Phil was actually sat next to David Silva. and David Silva being such a humble player, world-class player, he would have just been able to, not only in training, but match days, be able to just sit right next to a great and just observe and go, take all this in. And it would be no surprise that, well, he's already humble, but I just imagine he'll continue being that because he's seen now a world great in terms of David Silva carry himself the way he does.
Yeah.
You know? And I imagine Phil will just continue that way.
It seems though as well, you know, to talk about his kind of player influences, you know, he's got a little bit of David Silva in him, but it's not just that. Actually, there seems to be a few more different elements to his game, whether it be out on the wing, the 1v1 situations, his vision of a pass. He actually seems to have be multifaceted, I guess, in all areas rather than just a couple of areas, which I think makes it more exciting to think what is his potential and where can he go? Because we were kind of talking a bit before. He could go on to kind of make history as an English player, couldn't he?
I think again, the manager's looking after him, and the manager spoke openly last season towards the end about changing the pace of the game and slowing it and quickening it, and when to quicken the game. You know, there was a period where he got the ball, I have to beat somebody, I've got to do something, I've got to get a shot off, I've got to produce. But I've watched him develop this year to slow the game down and give the ball. When it looks like on the seat, we're thinking, get at him, go and take him, and he just slows it down and takes it and then moves the ball again. And then the next phase of play, and then he has a go. Like, you know, and I've just seen him grow again this year. And the potential that you said that is the word. Yeah. You know, where does he go? Like, you know, where else would he want to be? But at this football club.
And I guess while we're talking about winning trophies, as a young 21-year-old, Sean, already when you think of the winning medals that he's got in his cabinet for such a young age.
Yes.
I mean,
I'll cut you off for your question. Yeah. The guy's a serial winner already. He's a serial winner already. I mean, it's amazing. Winning the leagues, Carabao Cup, you know, a Champions League final, all this to come. I know he is just enjoying it. You know he's enjoying it because you see it out there on the field. You see it in his celebrations that he loves playing for Pep, scoring goals, running up to Pep, hugging him. He's let him know, I really appreciate, I love playing for you, appreciate all the knowledge and information, and he's going out there and executing for the manager.
Tell you one thing as well, and I've said this way, we've been a little bit lucky, you know, to watch some of the games live, which, by the way, very welcome news that we're going to have some fans returning for the final game of the season. Let me tell you one thing, nothing can prepare you for watching Phil Foden live. It is one of the greatest joys you'll ever experience, honestly, and we've got it for the next 15 years at least, which is a treat. If you've just tuned in, my name is Cel Spellman, with me Andy Morrison and Sean Gota, as we talk about Manchester City securing yet another Premier League crown. Unbelievable. I mean, there's a bit of beeping going on out there as well. We've had you guys getting in touch on Twitter as well, so you'll have to permit me for using my phone while on screen. But here we had this one coming from Carl. I've seen you pop up a few times, Carl. He says, celebrating at home. We know what we are. We know what we are. Premier League champions. We know what we are. That we are indeed. We had T Doyle 1982 on Twitter, of course not our very own Tommy Doyle, who said, Manchester City, it's out the fridge. The bottle of champagne is on ice. Champions Manchester City. Great picture from Izzy Hall on Twitter. Here's how we are celebrating as well. Looks like a nice little, City pajamas, City scarf, City teddy bear, all the City gear. We also had Karidosh on Twitter who says, our love for this City team. I think with your brother there as well, celebrating. Really, really wonderful. Keep those tweets coming in at Man City, hashtag WNRH. How are you celebrating? Or maybe you want to send us a few sentences that sum up your experience of watching the boys so far this year. And we just want to remind you as well, of course, just given where we find ourselves, if we can, of course, be following and adhere to the rules that are in place, we, of course, want to be celebrating, would love to all be celebrating in person. But I think if we keep safe, stay at home, and celebrate in the spaces that we're allowed, we'll be able to kind of crack on and look forward to doing that when we are allowed. I think there are some fans here already, but don't come down to the stadium, please. As we move towards the back end of the season, Andy, kind of again came into crunch time, you know, and we the winning streak. I think maybe had the thing to go, if we do come off that and lose, was it going to derail us? But it didn't seem to do that, and we actually just seemed to bounce back pretty quickly and go back to winning ways. Yeah, again, you know, it's impossible not to have a setback now and again. It's the reaction to it, and it, you know, and yes, in the run we were on at that time keeps you humble and also makes you know and realise the importance of these big games coming later in the season. You know, the semi-finals, the quarter-finals against huge teams that we're not unbeatable. Yeah. And it just keeps us on a level playing field, and
it's.
I think, well, because I don't know if we were watching this
Yeah.
game together, Andy, actually, but I remember when it happened. We never ever want to lose a derby. That goes without saying. But it does feel, and I think I remember it was a couple of you guys actually saying it to me that there are sometimes good losses, and given the time and actually, where we were at in that season, we still haven't got to the League Cup final yet. The FA Cup was still on. With the Champions League, I think we hadn't even started the quarters or the last 16 yet. It was a good kind of grounding to have a reminder and go, there's the reset. Yes. And now kick on. It almost kind of like finished one part and opened the next part, didn't it?
Yeah, and this is, the words that get often used, and Andy's used it once tonight, we go again. This is what, Pep is built into the culture of this club. And it isn't just we played this game, we won this game, or we played this game and we've lost this game. That don't happen often, but we've lost this game, we go again. That'll be again next season. That'll be again next season. Yeah. We go again. Mm-hmm. And I just think it's, simple little words, but it is so in the DNA of this club now. It really is. We go again. We play to the last minute. We play to the end. It's part of the DNA of this club, and absolutely brilliant that we have this.
When you talk about the DNA, and I think it's important to go that the DNA of this club has been built back in the history books, from the time that you guys were all playing. But then since then as well, we've had the Mancini influences, we've had the Pellegrini influences, and then with Pep coming in, does he seem to have kind of solidified and cemented all the different aspects of our DNA that we've been building over the years, and kind of gone, this is us now, Manchester City?
Yeah, I think, listen, you've mentioned some incredible managers and incredible leaders of this football club, but I think he's took it to another level. Yeah. I think he's taken it to another level. We can't, yes, incredible titles and managers that have gone into the history of the club, but we've raised the profile of the club again with Pep coming in, and the records he's set, we'll have to get somebody to remind us of the titles we've won. Yeah. Over his time at the club, whether it be FA Cups, whether it's League Cups, league titles, it's just been incredible. He's taken us to another level, a level that he'll want to maintain and improve. He'll want to get better and be better and go again.
There have been. Just piggyback on that, because talk about get better. In 10 years, we won 5 titles, but in the last 4, we've won 3. That just tells you right there. Under Pep, we've taken it to another level, and 4 winning the Carabao Cup 4 times in a row. Hold on. The fact that we get to see the guys play, we get to see them play this type of football. Let me tell you what Pep's done. Pep, I have a bone to pick. What he's done is, when I watch other teams play, Championship, League One, I can't watch it because I'm thinking, why is the guy just kicking the ball long? Why is he not playing it to this player? And I've reached a point where sometimes I watch 10 minutes of a game and I go, I can't watch it. And he has just evolved myself to the game to another level that, again, we're spoiled. As City fans, we are spoiled. We really are.
Do you know what? I said this to my dad actually watching, I think even just watching some other games in the Premier League, you'd watch fellow teams who are top level Premier League teams. I'm talking top 6. But sometimes you'd see them get the ball, play a pass, and then I'd go, City wouldn't have done that. They'd have gone for that one, and I think it does come from Pep and Andy, I know we could talk about more. For you, the greatest manager in club football, would you say, over time, up there?
At this present moment in time?
Yeah, and actually obviously his career's not finished yet, but you can't help but look at what he did in Barcelona, in Bayern Munich, his impact on the game.
I'd answer for him. Yes. There's no doubt.
I mean, obviously, but he's got to be up there and considered as one of the greatest of all time.
Yes. Yeah, and still hungry. Still wants to break more records. He doesn't see himself as a runner-up in anything. And I think when you talk about the 4 League Cups and where we've gone, yes, we just got pipped in the semi-final against Chelsea, but every single game, he doesn't have a night off. It's not, I'm looking for a week, we're looking at the game ahead. And again, that's, and again, we're very fortunate. And, while he has that appetite, I think everyone at this football club will stay the same. We'll still be as hungry as we are.
Couldn't agree more.
I imagine Pep is like, you know what, your easy day was yesterday. It's like today we go again, and that's the standard, that's the level. Can we get above that? Can we get above that push? What no matter what it is, whether it's passing, quality of passing, you're on 85%, can we get 87? If it's sprints, is those your sprints? Can you get that 1%? it's just phenomenal. I'm just really privileged to actually witness, be a part, and just be a part of this.
Yeah, but no, and I think, Sean, you saying that there, I think you can speak for all fans. I know, for myself, I don't know if I'll ever see football like this again, but a big part of that is down to Pep Guardiola. So if you are watching Pep, or if someone at the club can show him this, thank you, and genuinely, I love you. From the bottom of my heart, Pep Guardiola, I love you.
And me.
Let's look at some player focuses then. Let's start with goal scorers, from one goal scorer to another. İlkay Gundogan. I mean,
yes.
What a season he's had, Sean.
He has had I'm trying to think if it was November, December, January, going into February, or whether it was December, January, February. But he really came to the fore. I mean, he was. At that time, I started because he used to ghost into the box. So you heard me use the term ghosting, because he'll be deep, he'll be playing, he'll be level with Rodri or Fernandinho, and then all of a sudden, this is my favorite girl, because he's playing against a world-class player, He does this move on Thiago Silva, puts it through his leg and finishes in the bottom corner. This is absolute quality by him.
Do you think, Sean? I mean, it felt like he was one of the first signings of the Pep Guardiola era. Let's not forget, signed him while he was injured. This actually feels like Pep knew this all along, didn't he? Go, I know what he can get. He seems to have kind of really embodied the Gundogan we saw at Dortmund and previously. We never saw this Gundogan, did we, up until this point?
No, not up to this point. And what I actually saw was a complete player from the point of everything up to the final third. I didn't see the finishing that we see this season. I saw a player that could play defensive midfielder, screen, protect, shifty ball from left to right. No, he wasn't a ball winner. I mean, wow. No, it wasn't a ball winner, but he was an intelligent player. He'll read your touch and nick it. But he could always keep possession. But this is the part here. This stuff here is what we're seeing a lot more of. And this is obviously what Pep would have seen when he brought him and thought, he's a player. I can play defensive. I can push further forward. He could be a number 10 if I want him to be. And right now, he's had a phenomenal season, coming up with some big goals, carrying the team at that point in time.
And I guess as well, I think Andy talked about, there are certain leaders and a level of maturity that you need on the pitch. And I think his presence and energy, particularly this season, has really been felt. I think, and you saw it even when he gets brought on as a sub. He changes the tempo of the game. He changes the complexion and the feel of the game. Yeah. Which is all down to, I guess, his ability.
To his ability. I mean, he's an intelligent player. So, again, I love this girl.
Is there a sniper in the stadium?
Yeah. It's absolutely brilliant. But again, there are different leaders. Diaz is a leader. He goes around and he grabs a player. It's almost like he gives them a shake. Today, it's important. We must do it. We go again. This is how I imagine Diaz. We can see it. Gundogan is probably similar to a David Silva. Is that he's calm. He thinks about what he's doing and he's effective. Very effective. A really clever, intelligent player. I love his real assets. His left is as good as his right. Meaning when he controls it, it's right where he needs to be for his left foot to pass it, or right to his right foot, out from his right foot to go and pass or shoot. And that is a special quality, because I can tell you, if I control the ball with my left foot, I'm not quite sure if it's still going to be in my vicinity.
Yeah, and what? Off that, for all the young fans and young players out there, there is no greater lesson you can learn than watching İlkay Gundogan, because then both feet are just really unplayable. There was a moment for me, and it was in the Champions League semi-final, I think, in both legs against PSG. We'll remember, of course, the horrific tackle in the second leg. But there was a point where everything was coming through him in the middle of the pitch. If it wasn't working on the left pick, he'd play it out with his right. If it wasn't working over there, quickly shift it onto his left. The two-footedness thing is, you wonder why actually more players don't work on it, don't you?
Yeah, and again, having that intelligence, knowing where to position himself to be that support player, transition the ball, go out the other side, have that little jog over that side. If there's nothing on going forward, I'm here, baby. Yeah, give it to me. Transition the ball, drive forward. These are the qualities that Gundogan he possesses. And again, for me, he just sort of, a lot of times went on the radar, but I think people saw that period, that 3-4 month period, and it was just like, wow, he's scoring goals. He's vital in terms of some of the assists, the cleverness, the footwork.
Yeah.
just the intelligence to see things and deliver things, execute it. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, and that's the difference, isn't it? This seeing what you need to do is one thing, but being able to deliver it and execute it on a daily basis when it comes to us playing every 3 days, I think that's what separates you. We'll take a slight pause from us here because we have got a message coming from our dear friend, of course, a Manchester City legend as well. You've seen him when we're not really here. We can now hand over to Nadim Anua, who has this to say.
So there we have it, champions again. Come on, City. Just remember all those people saying City were done when they lost to Leicester at home. Yet still here we are now, champions of England yet again. That's 3 in 4. Congratulations to Pep, congratulations to all the players and all the staff. And long may this success continue. Looking forward to that last game of the season at home in front of some fans to celebrate some really good times. Love to everyone in the studio, and I hope to see you all guys soon.
Nadim Manu, thank you, my dear friend. I'm sure we'll see you at one of the games before the end of the season. What a man. Who shall we talk about next? Well, I think it's only right that we talk about one man, another man who signed a contract extension, and we spoke a lot about this on the show, that said so much about how he sees and where this football club is going. It is, of course, King Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, arguably in the top 3 players of world football. Injured for a little bit of the season, but still, we just know how valuable he has been, and actually, he seems to again just be blowing us away with his fight feet.
This guy, I don't know how he does it, because normally when you talk about a consistent player, you say they always give you a 7. I think with De Bruyne, I think he's taken that bar and he's just went, well, throw that away. We're going to put it here because De Bruyne for me always gives you an 8. And that's like your minimum you're getting. His off day, he gives you an 8. And this is phenomenal because, again, we've seen loads of players, and we say this player is so consistent, the least you get is a 7. That's his average. But De Bruyne gives you an 8. And again, his ability, he makes passes through defenses. I'm trying to think which game it was, but he gave a pass. It was 2 players that slid for it. It was the first nearest player.
I remember it.
Was about 10 yards from him. And then there was a deeper defender that was sliding, and both of them couldn't intercept it. But it was a perfect ball for our attacker who runs on and goes and scores. And I just thought, wow, this guy is taking out players with passes, and the striker is just thinking, perfect. He is just really phenomenal. And what I like about Kevin De Bruyne is, when we look at that, the free kick he had, and he actually gave it to Mahrez. Yeah. We're seeing a lot of top world-class players, but no on free kicks, no one gets them. This is a real quality of De Bruyne. He's a team player, because when you're on the free kicks and you're world-class, normally no one gets the sniff.
Yeah.
De Bruyne went, you feel good, Mahrez? Mahrez says, yeah, and he takes it and he goes and scores in that game. So he's a total team player.
And actually, do you think that it's kind of, I know we've spoken about this a bit, and I know we've touched upon it on the show a few times, but he has really assumed the role, and I think, it's known, but in the club, as one of our 5 main captains. And do you think that's kind of been influential in how he's kind of grown himself and taken his game to hit whatever bar he wants to set?
He knows he's a leader. And again, there's different leaders. He's a leader that, when he gets on the field, he delivers, and players will see that, and they'll have nothing but the highest respect for him. I don't know his personality, but if he's in a dressing room and other players, they may take the mick. The players have so much respect for him, they'll think, do I take the mick out of him? Because he's just on this level. Yeah. He's absolutely phenomenal, and he sees himself as a leader, and he gets that. And he gets that trust because he gets that from the manager. He knows the manager believes in him, and so therefore he wants to deliver, and he wants to deliver for the manager as well.
What a special goal that was as well. Of course, in the first leg against PSG, the semi-final, which we did go on to win, and does mean we are booked a date. Again, history being made by this team this year in the Champions League final. 29th of May is the date as we take on Chelsea. It's still unbelievable saying that. I believe as well, we've just put in a late transfer request. Paul Dickoff hopefully is going to be arriving on the show in just a second. But we could talk about Kevin De Bruyne all day. But if we move on to a next play, we kind of touched upon him a little bit before. But Riyad Mahrez. And I feel, City fans, there was the moment that seemed to stand out for everyone was the penalty miss in Liverpool, wasn't it?
Yeah.
This season, and whether it be the 3 goals in the PSG game, or I think actually just what he's done for the team on the pitch, particularly on the right-hand side here, we've seen, Mahrez, I didn't even see at Leicester all those years. He seems to have kind of developed into a different player as well.
Well, I did see the quality at Leicester because he had a different, certain players walk with a different sort of beat, a different sort of rhythm. Mahrez is one of those players that walks just a little different, and you see it in his game. He's a joy to watch because, again, if the game isn't going good, Mahrez can get the ball and you just go, the game's beautiful. Because he moves the ball so smoothly, so silkily. You think it. We all know he wants to come on his left foot. And we were sitting there thinking, and for me, because I'm a student of the game, I'm like, okay, defender, he wants to go on his left. Are you going to stop him? And he goes to his right, he fakes it, and they fall for it. Yeah. And it isn't. He makes it look very easy, but it's after.
We're not really here. We're not really here. He is here, Mr.
I
Paul.
am now. How are we, guys?
Oh, well, we are buzzing. How are you feeling, Paul?
Amazing. People have just been asking me outside, would you prefer to win it when you play yourself? No. You want to win it when you win it. And we've won it 3 out of 4 seasons. Absolutely fantastic.
I was asking Sean, but Paul, for you, what do you think this title win means? Not for the club, but for the players as well? Because I think given the season, it does feel very special, doesn't it?
It's super special. Obviously, the obvious thing is COVID, the restrictions have had, no fans. How good would it have been if the fans were here to celebrate tonight? I know there's a few outside, but to have them all in here would have been amazing. But then also for the start we had to the season, people are asking big questions of Pep, they're asking questions of the team. They've gone, they spend so many more hundreds of millions of pounds. And then to turn it round how we did that 22-game unbeaten run, just blew everybody away. So I think it's really special, and it's got to be up there with the best of them.
Do you feel as well, Paul, having kind of watched now this Pep Guardiola City team, this team seems to have arrived at a level that we haven't seen since Pep's began, I guess. It seems that we've kind of arrived in a whole different moment now.
Not just Pep, Manchester City, I think it's a different level for the Premier League. Some of the performances they've put in, you add into that, a majority of the season we've not played with a centre forward, no number 9 in there. And the players just seem to get better and better and better. We all know, you look at De Bruyne, you look at Foden, you look at Bernardo, you look at Ray, you look at all these world-class players, and they've just took the game onto a different level individually, but more importantly as a collective.
Yeah.
Because you know that the team spirit that was shown in the Champions League, winning away at Dortmund after going behind, going to Paris and doing the same thing in the second half, and then the performance here last week. Fantastic individually, but a world-class team performance. And
what to question to you both, because I'm finding the key elements I think that have made the season what it is. I think one of them seems to be the mentality of being able to just go game by game and not look too far ahead or behind. The team collective seems to be the other. Where has that come from, do you think? Because we've always had, I think, great team spirit, but as you say, it has felt different again this year, Paul.
Yeah, and it must be so difficult for Pep and his coaching staff, because you've not just got 24, 25 world-class players. Sometimes you can have 24, 25 Eagles within that as well.
Yeah.
And to keep everybody happy and playing at the level that they're at, whatever team he puts out, just shows you what a special coach he is and what a special coaching team they've got. But then you've got to translate that to the players, because how many times do you see top players being left out teams and then it gets in the media, their agents say they want to leave, they're not happy. Nothing comes out of the club like that.
Yeah.
Because the players know what the end goal is. If you're not in the team, you could be in the team next week, but the end goal is winning Premier Leagues.
It really is. And I guess off that as well, when you say we're here to compete on all 4 fronts.
Yeah.
And if we do manage to do that, there was a great line from Kevin De Bruyne saying the only game that we're not playing in this year is the FA Cup final. Every other game possible to us, we played in. And I guess that's when you say that's why you need the 25-man squad, because we want to compete on all 4 fronts.
I think we all see it now. I think there were some that may not have seen it on why the rotation. Well, we see it now, and we realize that you win trophies by it as well. And this is why I say this season has been a squad. It's been about the squad because, again, no matter who's come in, you should saying all the players. It sounded like a song. It was Mahrez, Sterling, De Bruyne.
I was teeing you up.
Yeah,
I was teeing you
it
up.
sounded a bit like a song. I was like, but yeah, it's been an absolute team performance and needed to be, because in order to win, 2-3 trophies, etc., on all the fronts, you need the team, and you need that squad, and it's, what a feeling it must be for them, because a player's playing tonight, and they know the next game, well, I'm in, and I don't want to let Paul down, because Paul's saying, I took care of business tonight. We won. We got in the next round of this cup, or in the finals, and it's like, okay, I've got to do the business in the league.
Yeah.
And I don't want to let Paul down, and Paul's like, I done my business. Then you go do yours, and that will be the atmosphere in the dressing room.
We touched upon it a little bit, Paul, but I know as well, because you do work, a lot behind the scenes and a lot for the club. We see it in Pep and we see it in the players, but it goes further than that, doesn't that? And actually, the energy that you're talking about that has been created, the atmosphere and the commitment comes from your Cheekies and Ferran and all the staff in the club. That's a product, I think, of what we're seeing, isn't it?
It comes from the top of the club all the way through, and not just here, by the way. Look at the clubs in the City Football Group. I keep saying it, I've been fortunate enough to visit these countries and see some of the clubs and how they work. It's the exact same.
Yeah.
The mentality, the ethos, how they do things, how they train, how they do things within the club, the people behind the scenes, and and I keep saying it, and I get a little bit emotional sometimes, and Sean will massively agree with me on this. The owners could have come in and cleared everybody away because they wanted the best of the best, and rightly so.
Yeah.
But when I come here to the Etihad, I go over to to the CFA, and there's people like Vicky Kloss who were working at Main Road and were there, Danny Wilson, Claire Marsden, who's been player liaison for 20 odd years, and the stewards, people that work in the doors, people that work within the stadium on a match day. And they're the people I'm delighted for, because the owners have made sure that they've kept the heart and soul of the club. Yeah, they want to take it on to a level and another level and another level, and you need to make changes to do that. But the heart and soul of the club's still here. Yeah,
they bought into the spirit, didn't they? Really did. To whoever, if they're watching as well, I'm sure hopefully this will get back to our CEOs. I love you, and thank you very much as well. We're looking at some player focuses, Paul, and the next one we want to talk about, John Stones, the forgotten man. It seemed as though he was very much he was 1 foot through the leaving door, but the transformation and the turnaround, and we solely accredit, I think, to John Stones, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And, I've always been a massive, massive fan of John Stones anyway. I think all he needed, and I think he's admitted it himself, was a run of games together. It seemed as if he would have 5 or 6 games and he was hitting that top form that we all knew that he was. But then he would pick up a niggle and he would miss 3 or 4 games, and then he'd be back for 4, maybe miss 5 or 6. Within that, I think Vincent and John together were fantastic. Mm-hmm. And then people forget, the beginning of last season, John and Laporte started really, really well before Laporte got before he picked up his injury. So he's never really had a consistent run in the team, a consistent partner within the team. Him and Ruben Diaz complement each other so well in what they do. And I've said it all along, that we're seeing the best of John Stones, but he's always been a world-class defender. Great guy off the pitch as well, and he's got to get all the credit, because you listen to his interviews about how he's worked hard to stop the injuries happening, how he does extra, how he's in the day after games and training to make sure his body's absolutely right.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you get the rewards, and he's been outstanding this season.
Yes, there's a lot.
Paul's absolutely right, because I've seen a couple of interviews, and actually he had took it upon himself and looked and thought, well, okay, this is how I'm performing. How can I get myself to the next level, or to this level? And he just said he looked within himself, looked at some of the things he was doing, off the field as well as on the field. And really it was just about discipline. So whether it was discipline on the field and making a decision, or whether it's off the field and saying, I'm really going to look at my eating habits or whatever it may be. He was saying this, and he's reaped the rewards, and we're seeing the quality player alongside Diaz and Laporte. Because for me, I think we've got 3 quality central defenders to choose from.
Yeah.
But it's been absolutely brilliant to see him take that on, because I was one that was sort of a little bit Stearns. But I'm so pleased, because you're always pleased for an underdog situation to then come back. And he's done exactly that. Just come and go into another level with his game. Really pleased for him.
And not just his game, Sean, his heading. I mean, he's added goals to his game as well, and some big goals as well. And I guess that's kind of, a great example of just, how much he wants it, and actually that he's kind of really gone, no, I need to improve and actually take this to, set the new bar, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And it's almost like, I think it was a period where Diaz, where Stones has scored and Diaz went, okay, I'm coming next week, and Hugo has scored. So they had a real competition going. But again, you saw when he celebrated, though, you could see the joy, because I think he ended up, still games to go. I think he's got about 5 goals. So, so he's probably looked and thought, well, okay, being a good defender, making good decisions on the ball, but also can I contribute on the set pieces? Perhaps he was thinking, I only scored 2 goals. Can I get to 5 as a centre half?
Yeah.
And all these little things, these little small margins are made him be a better, perform better, and we're really seeing it.
I mean, do you think now, Paul, as well, will you look at that and go, hopefully, if they want to stay and the contracts get signed, that actually between Stones, Diaz and Laporte, arguably 3 of the best centre-halves in club football?
Yeah, 3 world-class centre-halves as well. And it just shows, I think Laporte's got to get credit as well, because it must have been difficult, because last season when he was out injured, everybody was saying that was his injury probably cost us being closer to Liverpool.
Yeah.
And this season, he's waited patiently. But when he's had his chance, he's been outstanding. Whether it's alongside Ruben or alongside John Stones, he's really taken his game to another level as well. But that's what you want, If 2 of them are in there, the one that's sitting on the pitch is desperate to get in there. When they get in there, they want to take their chance, and they're pushing each other all the way.
The other little player for myself, I think, and actually just given really what we've seen over the last few games in recent weeks, Zinchenko. A quick word from you both on Zinchenko, and I'll give a bit of context, and I've probably said this on the show before. This is a guy that we signed, I think, for 1.8 million. I think he'd had to leave the Ukraine on his own at 16, and he turned down 2 transfers. The closest one being, I think, when we accepted 20 million from Wolves for him, and he said, no, I want to fight for my place. And I don't know if you saw his celebration after the PSG win here, but that, I think, said it all, and it seemed to vindicate that actually, do we maybe need a left back, Paul? Yeah. And
he's been immense whenever he's played, whenever he's been needed, and he's probably one of the first names in the team sheet now in the big games, and that's only credit to him and his mentality and his qualities, because. And don't forget, he didn't come in as a left back. He came in as a number 10, an attacking midfielder. And then, a couple of summers ago, when he basically sat down and said he didn't want to leave, and he wanted to show Pep and Chique that he wanted to be here. And I think the emotion and the adrenaline from that, we've seen that in the PSG game when he was in tears. That was just tears of sheer happiness. And cannot speak highly of him enough.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
I mean, for me, Zinchenko, when I watched him, I've always looked back and I just went, I don't recall too many times of him letting Pep down.
Yeah.
And I think we've had chats sort of off screen, and I've said Zinchenko has been consistent. And I've also been fed things like, when it comes to the rondeurs, he's one of those players that he's one of the best at it, never really gives the ball away. And so when I look at his game and I think, I see why he's playing for PSG, against PSG, because he doesn't give the ball away.
Yeah.
And Pep's thing is about keeping possession, making sure that you can control the game. And Zinchenko, in terms of keeping possession, his decision making when he steps inside to that midfield area, he's really just a safe player in terms of, he's not going to give the ball away, and can do fabulous things. So for me, he's, as Paul said, he's been absolutely brilliant in how his game just developed and moved on to the next level.
Yeah, another shining example for any young players or footballers out there. 2 players left to talk about. I mean, we could talk about all 25 of them, as we've said. But the first one being Fernandinho. And I'm sure we've all been reading, but actually, if we're talking about how we've ended up the Premier League champions of this year, a big bit of that has to go to Fernandinho. I believe there was a meeting call, I think, around after the Spurs game and after the Leicester game, that he instigated it, that was saying to the players, we need to look at ourselves, how can we change it? But to see what he's done on the pitch as well, at the age that he is, can we actually undervalue what Fernandinho does for us?
Can we put it? He's been absolutely monumental in terms of the team, being a captain when he's been on the field, the leadership. It doesn't surprise me that he's the one that's instigated that when he's looked at when they all looked and thought, how's the team going? We're not doing so well right now. Let's look at ourselves. And, I'm thinking back to the PSG game, it was Zinchenko that lost his head a little bit. It was Fernandinho saying, listen, it's about the bigger picture, we need you to stay on the park. We can't let that incident, mess up what we got going.
He was actually saying, don't you kick him, I'll do it for you. The next time I get the ball.
Yeah. We've had so many legends at the club that's, moved on to different things. I really sincerely I hope that he could be somebody that's at the club that can play some sort of role beyond him playing. Because we've had, again, the number of legends we've had that's moved on. And I really hope that we can keep Fernandinho around for some other role.
Yeah,
but that's on him also wanting to do a role or something.
Still feels as well. There's a couple years playing because the PSG game, it was like he rolled back the years. I mean, it was just a Fernandinho masterclass that we've been, so grateful to have watched for the last 10 years.
But whenever he's played, he's done that.
Yeah, he has.
And the PSG game, it was phenomenal. It was everywhere. I love the guy.
Yes,
everything about him on the pitch, off the pitch. The influence he's got, how he performs, how he handles himself, how he loves giving away cheeky little fouls that stops the opposition attacking. And he's the one over the last sort of 8-9 years that he's been here. He's the one that has let everybody else go and play.
Yeah.
The Bruynes, the Sterlings, the Mahrez, the Fodens, David Silva before that, yeah. He's the one that's just sat in there and he puts fires out left, right and centre.
Yeah.
And sorts the defence out, gets the team together. And he loves doing it. He doesn't want the glory and the credit that a lot of the players get for being these wonderful world-class players. He just loves sitting in there and doing the job for the team, and amazing.
I mean, there was a final word in him, and this I think sums it up for me. It was from my younger brother actually, and we talk about, you have your favourite players, don't you, in the team? And we've each got our few each. But he said, Kel, while Fernandinho's still at the club, no one comes close. He has to be my favourite player, and I think that's how we all feel. From one legend to another, and not quite the season, of course, they would have wanted, but we can't not speak about Sergio Aguero. And I mean, we got a little glimpse of it, didn't we, a couple of weeks ago, I think, in the Palace game, and not the season he wanted, but yet still, I don't think we can underestimate what he'll have probably been providing behind the scenes, and actually, him being a part of this growth over the last 10 years, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine, the young kids that are actually in training are training along and observing, the centre forwards being able to watch and observe. But Sergio Aguero has been a total credit to the club. The goals he scored, he's been absolutely phenomenal, scoring them from every angle. And we were both strikers, and we could look at a player and go, all right. I look at Sergio and think, I've scored that type of goal, but no, I haven't scored that type of goal, I haven't scored that type of goal. And this is what he does, is every type of goal Sergio Aguero, scores. And he will be missed. Absolute legend, absolute brilliant. I love the fact that you don't hear anything about him. It's just about what he does on the field. Yeah. Absolutely brilliant.
And he has been instrumental, Paul. I think, there's a couple of names that you come to, but arguably the most, do you think?
I think so. I love him. I love watching him playing as a former striker. I used to come here and watch the full game, but I could spend 90 minutes watching Sergio Aguero. His movement, the goals he scores, different types, head, right foot, left foot, outside the box. And he's not just the greatest striker in Manchester City's history, or the second. The greatest striker in Manchester City's history is... He's the greatest striker, one of the greatest strikers the Premier League's ever seen. Yeah. And I think the most iconic moment in Premier League history was him scoring here against QPR. Yeah. And that will be the most iconic moment in Premier League history for years and years to come. And if anybody deserves that accolade, it's him. He's just been amazing. Yeah, and fitting as well that we can give him another Premier League winners' medal. Sergio Aguero, we love you. And I still think, Sean, you've said this, and then we all still feel there could be a little role for him to play in the Champions League final. I think, Paul, possibly. You can see it, can't you? It's written in the stars. It is written. I hope it's not quite as tense as 93-20. Yeah. But look, if anybody deserves to walk away with a Premier League title, Champions League title, it's Sergio Aguero. Really is. Okay, let's take a little look at what you guys have been saying on Twitter. We had this coming from Darren, who says, absolutely brilliant. What a club, what a team, and what a manager, what a owner. Thank you. We love you, City till I die. Tom on Twitter said, congratulations to my club, Manchester City. Bring on the Champions League. Few weeks. Remember, 29th of May. I'm sure you've all got that date in the diary. And we had this lovely one from It's Loki on Twitter. He said, way to go, Blues. Been a fan for almost 20 years. This is unbelievable.
unbelievable. It really is. And I think, there's you guys being a kind of a part of what was, I think I actually seen this week there's been pictures of us kind of getting that promotion back into League One. And can you guys even put into words the growth of what you've seen from the moment, from you guys playing to seeing where we're at now, Sean?
Just thinking back to when we were playing and, I don't know, celebrations at Blackburn, and to now, wind forward to this point, I could not envisage this. I could not see us having world-class players, best manager, the style of football that we play. I couldn't. Where the club are in terms of the women's game, the DNA in terms of the culture. It's about standards. It's about when you train, it's can you train better than you did yesterday? And this just goes right through the club. I mean, it's just beautiful where we are, and just mind-boggling as to where the club can go.
Yeah, and it just feels the sky's the limit, doesn't it, Paul?
It does, and it's amazing. Was it 23 years ago last week that we get relegated at Stoke?
Yeah.
To go down to Division 2. 21
I
years
just
ago
forgot about that
last
Paul.
week. Getting back-to-back promotions against in the game against Blackburn, and then you look what they've achieved over the last 10 years. But what clubs don't achieve that in their history? The amount of trophies that we've won in such a short space of time. And I genuinely believe it's only going to get better and better. The bar's going to get raised again, and we're going to take it to another level.
Just piggybacking on a little point that Paul says, that Paul makes, the trophies that Pep Guardiola's won, and, everyone talks about, the great journey that Sir Alex Ferguson was on. But when he won the Champions League, it wasn't in the time or space, and I know we still got to go and do that, and I hope I'm not tempted fate. But if Pep was to win that, in the time that he's taken to win that, along with the league trophies he's won, and the Carabao Cup trophies, you say this guy's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So touch wood, we can get across that last hurdle, but to be able to do it within these 5 seasons is not taking 12, 13 seasons essentially to sort of go and achieve that, which is absolutely amazing.
And we have to have a quick, of course, and a quick word on that, Paul, because now obviously the Premier League is secured. We've got 3 games left. What do you think, Mike? What is the approach now? Do we use these as kind of training games, or is it win-win-win? Is it we have to keep going the way?
The mentality is, and look, Pep's a winner, serial winner, and he'll want to win every single game. But from the players' point of view, they'll be thinking that their space is up for grabs in the Champions. Every single one of them is playing for a place in the Champions League team for that squad, and they've got 3 games to do it. Whatever team Pep picks for the 3 remaining games, they're going to be going all out to win it, because they'll want to show the manager that they deserve to be in that starting lineup. Yeah.
Well, there we go. 4 games left to bring you. And remember, We're Not Really Here is going to be with you every step of the way. And of course, bringing you that big one, the Champions League final against Chelsea, 29th of May. Also, a quick reminder to any Manchester City fans, if you've got your supporter number and your supporter details, you can now vote for your player of the season. Who do you want to be your Etihad player of the season? Well, you guys choose. Go onto the Manchester City website, sign in, and you've got a few players there to choose from. I have cast my vote. I'll be revealing it come the end of the season. I think that's the best way to doing it, isn't it, gents? And of course, as always, there's loads of stuff you can check out on City Plus. It's been an absolute treat. Paul, thank you for coming. Sean, thank you for coming. To Andy Morrison as well.
Hey, John, I'm off to the pub now.
I'll be with you. And of course, a massive thank you to all you guys. But I think at this moment in this show that we can thank our manager, the staff, and our players, because Manchester City are once again Premier League champions. Say it, bask in it, enjoy it, and we'll see you soon. And remember, actually, I've just been told, turn your volume up wherever you're watching, however you're watching, that's it. Crank it right up, because we've got a special video just for your eyes only.
The bus has arrived, so please welcome the boys in blue, Manchester City! We know not to wait, so make some noise for Manchester City! The season begins for Manchester City, but just what could it hold?
Sean's, and that is full time at the Etihad Stadium. What a game and what a second half there. I mean, I'm buzzing it.
This City team just does not stop. Inch by inch, they're pushing their way to the Premier League title. This is De Bruyne. Ball goes in outside of the boot. John Stones, bullet header, goal for City. What a ball from Kevin De Bruyne outside of the boot. Oozing quality. Edison. It's one of those long raking balls. It's a pretty good one. Gundogan! Mr. Whippy strikes again.
Just worked that out. Is that 21 wins in a row? It is indeed. Manchester City, absolutely unbelievable.
It looks like the rewards are coming, so let's head back out there and see what City have got for them.
We want the quality of our players. The quality of our players won the game. Incredible.
A moment to reflect on the incredible work Pep Guardiola and all of his backroom team have done to achieve what they have this season. From where I am, you can almost see out over all of Manchester. And from what I can see, Manchester looks very, very blue indeed.